Hey guys, what's up? Emo Cat Dad here, hanging out with you, bringing you yet another edition of Emo Cat Dad Listens. If you're new here, then what it is I do is every day of 2024, I vow to check out a new band or artist. Check out 4 songs from across their discography, give you my initial thoughts on those songs individually, give you my ranking of the songs, and then of course, follow it up with my overall thoughts on the artist based on what I just heard. Today's artist, as you can see right there, is Goalkeeper. As I've said many a times recently, I am heading to Pittsburgh next month for 4 Chord Fest, so I'm doing a deep dive through all the bands that I have yet to check out to give them a fair shake before the event to see if, they're worth my time listening to, or if that's when I do a food or bathroom break. I've checked out tons of bands from this fest so far. I've done Koyo, Cliff Diver, Honey, lots of bands overall, and still more to come. I'm hoping to have all the 4 chord bands wrapped up by the end of this week, so please do me a favor for this thing to keep working. I need new bands or artists to check out, so please hit the comments below. Give me bands or artists you think I should check out, whether they're pop punk, emo, metalcore, deathcore like yesterday's, or go off the page. Give me some rap, some pop, some butt rock. I take all comers. So what do I know about Goalkeeper going into this? I actually don't really know anything. I had heard the band name probably from like past pop punk tours or fest lineups, but I never dove into them. I'm basing that on the fact that they play 4 chord. They must be a pop punk band, or at least adjacently so. So let's not waste any more time thinking about what they might sound like. Let's just dive into Goalkeeper and figure out what they do sound like. So the band's first EP came out back in 2017 called Gut Feeling. I checked out Pong Partners. Alright, so right away what caught me was the grit in the vocal. I really love that sound in there. It took me back to the early 2000s when you'd see a lot of hardcore bands basically start playing pop punk music. So you still got that hardcore grit in there, like bands like Phoenix, Texas, and some early Newfound Glory as well. Also very early 2000s was the Na Na Nas. I didn't love those as much. They kind of felt out of place and they went on way too long. But hey, we get it. You like Blink-182. Overall, my main takeaway is there were some production issues. I think the bones of the band are pretty solid, but this being a debut EP, I just think there was things they needed to massage a little more. You can't really do that without putting out your first collection of songs and figuring out what works and what doesn't. So they followed up that EP with another one in 2018 called Bad Times Don't Last. And off that EP, I checked out the track Sunshine. Just stay for a while, for a moment. So the intro on this track was a little long, which is disappointing considering pop punk songs usually don't have that. But once it picked up, it was very clearly an improvement over the last track. The production is much crisper, thus making it a better overall experience. And it's still got that early 2000s sound that I appreciate, but they're also modernizing it and making it their own, so it's not so much a copy-paste. Goalkeeper followed that up with another EP, Life in Slow Motion. And off that one, I checked out the track Happy. For feeling only happiness, to feeling like there's nothing left. Alright, after 2 songs that reminded me of the early 2000s, Happy throws it back to the early 2010s. This is that angry style of pop punk that bands like The Wonder Years and The Story So Far got popular off of. The vocals, despite being gritty in parts, don't work as well with this style as the early 2000s sound, but I still enjoyed it overall. The one part about the vocals I will say stood out was the spoken word part. They kind of do it at the very beginning, where it's just kind of like talking to the music, and then they do it up again as like a bridge kind of situation. It worked really well. And finally, the band released their debut album. I think it was back in 2022. That's their most recent output, called I Wish I Met You Sooner. And I checked out the track Sooner. Talk about us all night, how we were just Alright, this track has the best chorus out of any of these tracks so far. It was super enjoyable, and honestly, the verses are no slouch either. They start off the verses with basically the same line. I love when bands do that. It adds kind of a through line to the whole song. Really dug it. Great idea to add that in there. Also, a great idea to add in was that Newfound Glory style breakdown we get. Newfound Glory is my favorite band, so I'm never going to complain about that. Alright, so those are tracks I listened to of Goalkeepers. What are my ranking? Well, number 1, should be no surprise, Sooner. Best chorus, love the breakdown. The verses were definitely above average, so if you got nothing bad to say, odds are it's coming in that number 1 spot. At number 2, I'm going to go Sunshine. This EP is actually their most popular EP, and Sunshine is their most streamed song, and I completely understand why. It's a throwback sound, but it's also still very modern in parts. It sounds super crisp. If it wasn't for that long intro, this could have easily challenged for the number 1 spot, I think. At 3, we're going Happy. This was just a different style of song, and I did still like it, and I liked a lot of that style when it was popular in the 2010s with the sad boy, angry pop punk era. But ultimately, the vocals just don't work as well. They tried to keep the same vocal style with the exception of that spoken word part, which I did enjoy. But the same vocal style didn't work with the music of this track as well as on the other one, so ultimately that's what knocked it back. And at 4, Pong Partners. This was just kind of a rough start to go off of. I'm sure the band today probably would say the same thing, that it's their weakest output, and I can definitely see why. But like I said when talking about the track, you can see the elements there for the band to become what they have since become, and it's a lot more enjoyable in that context knowing this is where they started. And again, there are still good elements in here like the vocals. Alright, so what are my overall thoughts on the band Goalkeeper as a whole? I'm not a lover of soccer, but I can get behind a good goalkeeper. This band is probably about my age. They grew up on the mid-2000s to early 2010s pop punk, but they've continued to enjoy the genre. So there's still elements of new age pop punk in there, which adds a lot of excitement to those older sounds. Kind of like when Simple Plan and State Champs did that song together. It was equal parts old and new, making it exciting for both parties' fans. So that's kind of what Goalkeeper's doing just as a band. I'm super stoked to check them out at 4 Chord next year. Hopefully they give us an EP this year, or another full length would be nice. I guess only time will tell, but I'm definitely going to be checking out whatever they release from here on out. Alright guys, thank you so much for hanging out with me. I'm your friendly neighborhood Emo Cat Dad. I appreciate you making it to the very end of this video. Like I said at the beginning, please leave me suggestions in the comments below of other bands or artists you think I absolutely need to check out. I'd appreciate it oh so much. I got like 200 more of these to do, so I definitely need the suggestions. So help your friendly neighborhood Emo Cat Dad out and give me some suggestions. And while you're in the comments, give me your thoughts on Goalkeeper. Have you checked them out before? Are you going to check them out? Will you see them at 4 Chord Fest? But even if you're not going to 4 Chord and you like this band or you haven't checked out this band, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I want to have a conversation with you. Check me out by the stage and come say hi. But most importantly, I hope you're going to stick around for tomorrow's episode and the one after that and the one after that. And simply the best way of doing that is if you cut my wrist and hit subscribe. Emo Cat Dad signing off for now. Until tomorrow, I want to hear you sad.